Firstly, Martin, casting your mind back to this time last year, what were your aims, what were your targets for the Under-21s this season?
Well, two main aims. One, to get as many players as was feasibly possible to train with the first team, possibly to make the debuts, and to have a good run in the cup and finish mid-table or above in the actual league itself.
And you got off to a pretty good start. You beat West Ham away in the second game, I think, and then you went on an unbeaten run from September all the way through to January. That set the tone for the season, really, in the league. Yeah,
it did indeed. Like you said, we had a good start, we had a solid start, and we were consistent over, quite a few games. I think it was a 7 or 8 game period, which was very pleasing. We'd obviously lost Jack and Jordan to Swindon for their development, and whilst we were doing well, they were also doing well, which was pleasing. And yeah, the work, all the hard work that was done within the pre-season, with everything that was happening, proved of benefit.
And that run that went on for quite a while, it put you in a very strong position in the league, and in what was a very tight league this season. It looked that you were up there for quite a long time.
We were indeed. I think we were second. I think we might have even been top once. But like you say, the difference between first to 10th or 11th was 3 or 4 points, and that continued right the way through the season.
And in that period as well, you started off on the cup run, the Under-21 Premier League Cup, beating Norwich and Ipswich. Was that always a competition that you had your eye on?
We'd played in the competition before, and we'd lost at Exeter, which was hard to take. And then the first fixture at Ipswich was a real test. They were physical, they were quite direct, and had several older players. And the actual performance then, when you look at the young players that we had in the team, was excellent, capped off by a magnificent goal from Sam McQueen. So that lingers in the memory as well.
And the Norwich game came after that. And at what point did you start to think in that cup run, hang on a minute, we might be in with a shout here?
I thought the players got ahead of steam, and when we got into the quarter-finals, then you're thinking, this might be our year, which it was, but not until we got into the quarter-finals.
Well, after the Chelsea League game at Stamford Bridge in February, which was just after that unbeaten run, the form sort of started to go a bit patchy. Do you think that the cup run maybe was a factor in that?
It may have been a factor, but I don't think it was the significant thing. I think there were changes in the team. I think some of the younger players found the Chelsea experience difficult, and obviously at half-time we had a few savage words to say. So that was a difficult game. And then we had an indifferent period, really, which, to be fair, can be expected with inexperienced players. We don't like that, but it is a factor. And then they've come out at the end of it, obviously with the cup run and picking up a better string of performances in the league.
And you seem to come out of that run at just in the right time for the two-legged final, the first leg at Ewood Park. Was it a case of just making sure that you had something to build on in the second leg to give you a real chance of lifting the cup? Well,
it was, but I think leading to the final, the two performances against Watford and particularly against Derby, when we didn't start so well, but some of the play in the Derby game in particular gave the players a renewed confidence, if you like, and a renewed energy. So going into the Ewood Park game, the players were very, very focused, and that was a tough game.
They seemed to know exactly to a man what was expected of them, and they carried that on into the second leg, and it was a fantastic occasion in the end with 12,000 people inside St Mary's.
Oh, it was. I mean, the place was absolutely rocking, particularly at 1-0, and then at 1-1 there was another lift from the crowd, and then unfortunately when Harry sent off, the crowd went again. So it felt like we had got an 11th man in terms of the crowd in that difficult extra time period.
In those two games, was it just about, for the players, as much of dealing with the occasion, keeping cool heads as it was to win the game? Because it's a big stage for them, and one that not many of them have experienced before in the Cup.
That's right. I mean, in dealing with the environment is very, very important. But dealing with the environment and then playing the way that we want to play is important, and he did both of that. And an interesting factor when you look at the fitness levels of the squad, I think we've only conceded 1 goal in any game in the last 15 minutes. Now that's a factor of all the work that's gone in with the sports science and the level of fitness and endeavour that the players have got.
You mentioned before that the players are fit, and that's shown in certain records, and you've said that is down towards the work as well of the backroom staff. How important have they been this season?
Well, massively. The medical staff, I'll go on record, are as good as any that I've ever worked with, and the sports science. But we work together. It's not a question of anybody ruling the roost. At the end of the day, I'll have the final say, but there's a togetherness in terms of the coaching curriculum and the programmes that we put together. So it's a very thoughtful process. We try and make it as individual as we can. So the programme for Jake Ethkus is going to be different from Sam Gallagher because of the physical demands and the physical growth that they've got. Jake has obviously got physically a lot more to come. So we're mindful of that. But the programme pans out over the season. They've already got off-season programmes ready for the start, and we start fitness testing again on the 25th and 26th of June. So the pre-season is shorter, and we need to be ready, you know, to get back to where we were last season.
And one of those players that you mentioned there, Sam Gallagher, I think one of the most memorable moments for the players, for supporters, for everybody, was his goal in the cup final. It was some way to win the trophy.
Well, it was. We've got a conference that starts this evening in Southampton, part of the PDP phase, and there is a goal of the season for the Under-21s. I'm hoping he's in a running for that.
But that was a highlight of the season for many. It's also evidence of the progress that's been made behind the scenes with the Under-21s and the younger players at the club. A lot of the focus gets put on Ronald Koeman's first team, and rightly so this season, but there's big strides been made as well.
Well, there have. We've had 5 players make the debuts. I think we've had 12 or 13 of the players that have trained with the first team, and a core of 5 or 6 that have been regularly training with the first team. So that all bodes well for the future. And it's interesting that the first year boys have adapted. They're stepping up now. So rather than tending to work in small groups of 21s and 18s, sometimes in the week they'll work together, and we'll be doing that next season, and so on and so forth. But that also means then that the under-16s come up a level. It's important that they are tested, and we keep talking about this pathway, which is, you know, very, very important for the young players to understand that at this club there is a pathway. There always will be.
A lot of clubs at this level opt to use the overage players that you're allowed in the squad. At times this season, Southampton, you haven't used those players. You've been able to play players that are younger. Is that a nice sort of way to be able to bed those younger players into the setup in the Under-21s?
It is. It obviously gives them more opportunity and more game time. There have been occasions where we've had a couple of the overage players. I think Ronald is very keen that if an Under-21 player in his own right is training with the first team and he's on the bench, then that player, Harry would be an example, Matt Targett would be an example, Lloyd Isgrove later on in the season, that they actually get game time. You know, you can train, you can be very fit training, but the acid test of your decision making, the sort of player you're going to be, is in match action.
And one of those players that has made the step up to the first team this year, Ryan Seeger, he scored a 20-odd goals for the Under-21s this year. He's had a fantastic season. He
has. We've always known since Ryan was at the Bath Centre that he, you know, is a prolific scorer. He's done that from 15 upwards, and this year he's proved it again. He's stepped up a level. He's played regularly. I think he's had 24 starts and scored 21 goals. That's 21 league starts. So he's played about 30-odd games now. 21 goals in a 30-odd game season is impressive.
Along with Ryan, Jason McCarthy's also made his debut. Jake Ethkus even made a start for the first team. There's a number of players there that would be looking to push on next season. Are you expecting them to see them in and around the first team a little bit more next campaign?
A lot of them will train with the first team. We've already discussed that early in the season, and then Ronald will obviously decide who he's going to take further into pre-season. The other players will then train with the phase as we normally do. So, you know, exciting times. You
finished the season with the likes of Sam Gallagher, who spent last season, the end of it anyway, with the first team. Lloyd Isgrove, who've just come back from a loan in the Championship. That's a very strong side you've got there. How much pride does it give you to sort of be in charge of the development of these lads?
It's a privilege really to work at this football club with the calibre of young players that we've got. The thing that we've got to guard against is being complacent. And we talk on a weekly basis about that with the players. So if we get into Europe, then the crossbar has now gone up a level, and we need to produce players of a European standard. And that's driven by the board. Everybody understands their role within the club, and that message is sent down to the players. That to get in our first team now, you've got to be, you know, a very, very good player.
Does that a challenge that excites you to carry on producing players of a standard that are going to benefit the club? It's
a challenge. It's a spur. You can't rest on your laurels here. Other clubs are doing similar. It's obviously a very competitive and very cutthroat professional sport. So I think there's a saying, while you're thinking about doing something, somebody's already done it. So we're very proactive as a club. Certainly in the FDSC, we're always looking of ways of getting better and better, and that will continue. We'll have various meetings building up into the pre-season, and then we'll challenge ourselves and challenge the players to do better than last season. That's the only way that we can progress.
And for long spells this season, you looked like you were in with a shout of even going on to mount a really good title challenge. Is that one of the targets for next season?
Yeah, we'd like to finish as high in the league as possible. Given the fact that you know the top teams are there, they may have more resources than us, but we don't want to be languishing in the bottom half of the table. For sure, we want to be in the top half and pushing into the top four.
And at this level especially, there's been a couple of harsh lessons been dealt out, I guess, this season. But in a way, those lessons, can they benefit the lads who are perhaps a bit younger? Is it good to have that in their development, just to experience it?
Well, they have done. I mean, the games at Chelsea and the last game at Manchester City were sour taste in the mouth, to say the least. So having been there and obviously had the opposite end of winning a trophy, the players have had the full spectrum of the season. Now we want to be more consistent in everything we do, and that's one of our aims.
And finally, Martin, in your own words, how do you go about improving on this season? How do you go about making it one better next season?
By working hard, by preparing, by being very diligent and sticking to the things that we've put in place over numerous years, and particularly the last 5 years. So we're not going to change. We want to do things smarter, we want to do things better, and we want to keep producing these players. That's what we're charged with, and that's what we're going to do.